I like went in a trance and like I started walking towards the track, like just like it was like somebody else was taking control of my body. It was like I was in a trance, and like I was about to like step in front of the train when this guy like just pulled me back. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you know what I mean? Like you stepped out. And I was like, and it kind of shook me up a bit, and I like come to a bit, and like I decided then, I need to try and get some kind of help.
So, why this world? I mean, so above, out of everything in VRChat, so this one's your favorite.
Yeah, one of my favorite. Yeah, there was another world I was thinking about, but like I chose this one. I got another world that's on par with this, but yeah, I thought I hadn't been here in a while, so I'd come to this one.
So what do you like about it? Is it just like, night times, you got butterflies here, flowers?
It's a bit open, really. It's mostly back into my like love for like fantasy, like where I used to play over the years and stuff, and it, just takes it back to a better time, I guess. And like, yeah, I just like the ambience as well, the atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah.
Chill.
Obviously, your name is Envi. The next question we usually ask is, what you could either say, you could give your age, or you could give an age range. Give a ballpark of where you're at.
I'm 30.
Okay. And where do you currently live right now? Or where were you
in
born, and then where do you live?
I was born in the UK, in the West Midlands, and I still live there.
What languages do you know and are fluent
in? Fluent, just English, yeah.
And then now, for the most controversial question. What is your favorite color?
Purple.
So for this one, what brings you to be your best self?
My best self?
Whether people, things, experience, like what brings you to be at, your best self?
I'm not really sure. You mean on a certain day, you mean? Like what day am I my best self, or generally? Like...
So like in general, so like let's say something's going on with your kids and you need to be at your best self, right? Because you need to be there for them. What do you do, or what kind of helps you be at your best?
Nothing really. I mean, just the motivation of like being there for my kids is enough motivation to like be my best version of myself as a parent.
And let's say in the times before you had kids, what would you do at that point?
I've always, to an extent, I've always been empathetic towards people. Not so much now. Things have changed, but like, yeah, I'd know people willing to help people and that kind of stuff. Not that I don't do that at all now, but like, yeah, I think generally, even now, I'd like to say I'm quite a selfless person. Of course, I can be selfish at times, like anyone can be, but most of the time, I put myself second.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah, because they say it's actually like a little bit of a twist that to be selfless, you actually have to be selfish and take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then you don't really have much to give.
Yeah, well, guess I don't do that at the moment. I don't look after myself as well as I should.
Okay, and then the last question before we get into whatever it is you would like to talk about. On a scale of 0 to 10, how truthful are you with yourself? 0 being, I lie to myself all the time. 10 being, I never lie to myself.
I'd say a 9. I'm like generally like honest person, even with other people, which can get me in trouble a lot of the time. But I'm saying I'm quite open myself. I definitely know my flaws, and I'm well aware of my flaws. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely. I can even tell. Like, yeah, that sounds like an honest answer. Especially when we do things to a fault. But all right, the floor is yours. What things did you sort of? And I guess I want to talk about first. So we think problems, right? Whether in the past or the present, things that people are dealing with that are very difficult to cope with or get through or solve, and just sort of we pick a problem and then we just sort of talk about it and have a back and forth about it.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So
Well, my problem is now like no motivation for anything. Like if I'm doing my study work now, I'm finding it really hard to motivate myself and do stuff. Even looking after myself, even like cleaning myself, which I do, but like I tend not to sometimes. Eating things generally, I'm just like I have no motivation to do anything. Not really at all.
So motivation, with you're in school right now, or college, or you call it university?
Well, it's university. There's you have college here as well, but that's different. What happened is when my relationship ended, I was working towards trying to get a better job, and like I decided to go for it anyway, and I gone part-time. Well, left my old job originally, part-time somewhere else to like study.
Well, what are you studying right now?
Urban development and climate change is what I'm studying right now.
Oh man, okay, that's really interesting, especially for our fellow flat earthers and global warming doesn't exist type people. You would be able to get some hard facts and prove it to them.
Well, more I'm studying is the people's health around cities, like how people use things impacts their health, mental health and physical health, like the pollutions and stuff like that, and how to overcome it.
Okay. And you're struggling with like motivation to like do well in your studies? Yeah, to do it?
Well, just to do it at all. Just to do it all. Like I'm time's catching up with me now, and I'm trying to do the coursework, and I just haven't got motivation to do it. But I think that's just due to my disorder. Like I don't have motivation to do anything due to like going through phases of depression and stuff.
Okay, and
so
do you feel
just really hard to force after that?
You feel comfortable sharing, what that sort of is?
What the depression? I don't. Yeah, it's fine. So I've always suffered from like anxiety even when I was a kid. I think it stems from my dad, because my dad's like gets angry easy, right, and he gets agitated easy. So I guess I get that from him. But like over the years, like on top of that, like the frustration, like and anger, which but then it just led me to having like panic attacks and stuff like that. Like I didn't know what it was at first. I was having like heart palpitations and numb arm, and basically it's weird because all the symptoms of a panic attack are really similar to those of a heart attack to an extent. So like they took me to the hospital, they took me to an ECG and stuff. This was when I was like 17, 18, this was, I think. And they said, oh, you're having like anxiety attacks and stuff like that, and they took my blood samples and shit, and they just said it's a chemical anxiety disorder, they called it. So chemical imbalance in your brain kind of stuff from certain things, and they said it's mostly genetic. So the things you can do with your diet to somewhat overcome it, but you're pretty much stuck with it. That's what they told me. Yeah, and then like I moved in with my girlfriend, had a kid, got married and stuff like that, and like we moved into this one house, and I was getting suspicious of things, and like it turns out like she was cheating on me with my friend. So like she left for like a month and a half and left me with the kids, and I had to work full time with the kids and try to finish my studies off to get to university, which I managed to do, but it was really stressful. And like at that point, I just, I was getting forced out of the house due to like, fucked up laws where women always seem to win, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just like broke down and like, I had to leave my house and stuff like that, not seeing my kids a lot. And I've always been like an edgy person, like, a funny person anyway, that kind of stuff. But and I ended up losing like 16 pounds. So I imagine most people like American. I don't know. Like I'm trying to. So 16 pounds or like I don't know how many kilos that is, but like
I appreciate the
stone,
conversion.
but like but like yeah, I lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks.
Oh Jesus.
Because I wasn't eating or sleeping, and like I continued to lose weight after that, and I ended up losing like. So it's just over 2 stones. That's like 32 pounds I lost in like a couple of months. I like lost a lot of weight. I'm not a big guy anyway. So yeah, I was.
Jeez, man,
that
sounds rough. Yeah, if you got a thin frame and you lose 30 pounds, like wow.
Mhm. Yeah, so like. Just general stuff from people like issues, depression, not eating, sleeping, not going to bed, lack of motivation, like more so than now. And like eventually I started getting like stupid ideas in my head, which the only way that led me to stop doing that was like me having like young kids. You know what I mean? So I had my kids young, right? Like I had my first kid at 22 and stuff. So it's like, yeah, I had my kids young, so, but wasn't planned, I'm not gonna say the word, but like, you get what life dishes you. And I was at the train station one day, and it's weird, like, because like when you hear about people like trying to commit suicide and stuff, they like they don't. Like people think they're being selfish, right? That people think they're being selfish towards it, and like, why would you do that to other people that would, care about you? Like, it's a selfish idea, and it is. But people that go through that, they don't realize it. Because it was weird. Because like, what happened was like I wasn't even planning to do anything, and like I was at the train station going into the city, and when you go to the train station, like they go like fast approaching train, or fast moving train approaching, like step back from the platform's edge, blah 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 blah. So I like went in a trance, and like I started walking towards the track, like just like it was like somebody else was taking control of my body. It was like I was in a trance, and like I was about to like step in front of the train when this guy like just pulled me back. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you know what I mean? Like you stepped out, and I was like. And it kind of shook me up a bit, and I come to a bit, and like I decided then I need to try and get some kind of help, right? So, but I go to like, because the thing in the UK, which is a good part of the UK, which is also a bad thing, is the NHS. Now the NHS, that's free healthcare and stuff, and it's brilliant, but it gets a heavy load sometimes. So when it's stuff like mental illness, they normally do something when it's too late because they're limited resources, right? So the only way you're gonna get like a proper like shrink or whatever is if you've attempted something. Right? If you attempted suicide, or if it's really bad and you
Wait,
self-harm all
really?
the time,
It's like
no,
it's,
I mean,
it's purely emergency based.
no. You'll get put on a waiting list. Like I got put on a waiting list,
Oh, okay.
and you go, okay, you got so many months before this place is open, and after that you can get it weekly, right? But it's like several months, right, before you can arrange something. Like, and it's that waiting period that it could be too late at that point, right? Like a few months with people who are heading that way, it could be too little, too late. That's the issue of like the NHS.
So is it just the NHS, or is this like UK mental health, like just in general?
Well, no, because like if you have any kind of health issues, you go for the NHS, right?
Is that the only system? Is what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I imagine
Well,
you
yeah.
could
Well,
go
there's
to
two.
you could go to a private
You can go to
practitioner, right?
private practice. Yeah, you can. You
Yeah,
can. Yeah,
okay.
you can go to a private practitioner, but that's very expensive.
Right.
That's the issue, right? So yeah, so most people choose to go for the NHS because of that, you know? Because some people just can't afford it. Like, yeah.
Hmm.
So you go to these shrinks and stuff, and like to be fair, some of these they're like very condescending. They talk down to you a lot, like you're a kid, you know, patronizing and textbook shit, and like you end up just like, excuse me, end up like losing interest of it, you know, because like it's just like it's not helping. This isn't helping. And, like they said, oh, the only thing we can do is give you antidepressants, and I really didn't want to take those. So like the way I am now, it's mostly like self-help kind of thing. I've kind of pushed myself out of it to the extent where I'm that bad, but I'm still not right in the head. Like I'm not like terrible, but like at this point, but like I'll have my moments where I will like have thoughts like that still, but like I normally shake myself out of it kind of quick just because I'm very stubborn. I think that's the only thing that's really me standing there right now. I'm in nature. I'm an extremely stubborn person. So I'm like stubborn myself as well. Like no. Like even though like I'll have certain thoughts, like you know, but yeah. I guess it's just like. I mean, I live on my own and stuff now, and like this house is kind of big for me to live my own with, and like so I got like a cat. Like I got a cat now, so it helps me out. Like just a bit of like bit company, I guess.
Okay.
I
so
got the kids the weekend and stuff. But,
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I have a bunch of questions real quick. Okay, first thing I wanted to say is you gotta really do your best to shop around for therapists because there are unfortunately plenty of complacent and bad ones that like a good therapist is somebody who's invested in you. And they would go so far as to use a sliding scale and work with your finances and really go the extra mile for you. Like that's a genuine therapist. It's really unfortunate to hear condescension, sounding like they're reading from a textbook, and patronizing. Like what the?
Yeah.
And then so the other thing is, okay, so you know you talked about having kids and your significant other just sort of parting ways. So like what's your current situation right now? You live by yourself in a fairly big house and the kids come on the weekend?
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I got this house was pure luck. Like I was extremely lucky to get this place. Like I landed on my feet when they got this. Like I normally wouldn't have got anything as like on a scale of this. I would have got a much more smaller apartment, and like I got really lucky this place. So you know, it's not all bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, my main issue now is trust issues. I do not trust anyone. Like, well, I'll trust people to an extent. Like, I'm alright talking about this because like I'm comfortable with it. Like, if there's stuff that I don't feel like is like anything that's going to affect me now, then I don't want people to get involved. Like, I won't get people to get too close to me. Like, talking about stuff like this with someone I don't really know, it's fine because like it's already passed and I've dealt with it. You know what I mean? So, well, I've dealt with the stuff in the past anyway. It's just but I think when I say trust issues, it means like people that are friends or relationships and stuff like that. People that want to get close to me, I'm like, yeah, no, like barrier around, so you're not getting past it. Like,
so there's that stubbornness again. No.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I've had people interest in me several times the last couple of years, and I've just like
friends and partners.
Well, more no, I'm friends with people like people like that are interested in me in like in that way, kind of like partners, kind of thing, you know, attracted to me, I guess.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I can't understand why, but like you know, but yeah. So, but like I've liked them somewhat, and like there's this person that I've liked recently, and I've just kind of like ended up pushing them away. I did it a few times, And you know, I kind of regret it, but at the same time, I don't, because like I feel like I don't think I'm mentally in the right position to date someone. So I'd rather like not. It's kind of like doing it for their sake as well as mine. Like,
Yeah, kind of like, giving a disclaimer like, hey, so it's not that I don't like you, but I'm just not in a good place right now.
yeah, but I'd like to be. It's after this thing. I want to move on with things. Like once I finish this last year uni, hopefully Corona's like put like a big like mess things up a lot with jobs and stuff, right? So I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'd like to be the point where I can once I within the next year like get myself stable and hopefully try and meet someone again, I guess.
Okay, so sounds like there's a lot of things going on that affects your motivation. Like one category being things that sort of add weight onto you. Like, okay, you got the kids and the school and the job, and you want to kind of keep afloat with dealing with the stress. And then the other is some social things and hobbies and things that generally make you happy.
This game's helped a lot. Like VRChat's helped considerably. Like with mental health, like it's crazy how many people you see on here, and I'm sure you'll agree, like that have like some kind of mental issue, like and this game helps a lot, like because you can talk to people. Like the anonymity helps, I guess.
Yeah. I really like it just because people are honest. Like it's hard for me personally to spend time with people who aren't honest and open and emotionally available, just because I just treasure those qualities so much for how I enjoy and interact with people. Like when you have a really deep connection with someone, it's kind of like just once you go black, you never go back. You get the bar set real high, and then you go back to real life and how people are just very reluctant to tell you things because they're worried about their reputation, or he said she said drama.
There's certain things I won't tell people. Mostly, well, some family members actually I wouldn't tell. Like ever since I was like ever since I can remember, I've always been like I'm bisexual, so like I'll go for either. I'm kind of greedy. But,
dude, I wish I was bisexual.
It's great. It's like when women piss you off, you can just go for
you
the
go to
guys
bed.
instead. So and then you can go. Yeah, it's just great. Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, I mean, like my mom and that know, and my friends know. The only one that doesn't know is my dad, because my dad is very old-fashioned and is like a bit racist and homophobic. So like he doesn't know. But I've had no reason to tell him anyway, because I haven't had a relationship with a guy. I've had like encounters with guys, to catch my drift, but I haven't like had a relationship with a guy, so I've got no reason to say anything to him.
Encounters, you say? You mean you played Pokemon together?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say has helped the most in finding motivation and getting through your journey thus far?
My kids, I'd say. Yeah.
But
I'd
of
say
course.
anything,
Oh, sorry. Good.
I'd say my kids to an extent, but like also I'd say honestly, like hang around the people here. Like I spend a lot of time in VR. I guess it's the escapism.
Yeah.
And like it helps a lot. Like I mean, when shit first happened to me, when it really started going bad with my ex, like I met someone. It was a girl, and she was going through the basically mirror of what I was going through. This guy got huge leverage over her kids, and she's like not spend much time with kids. No, it's basically like the
woman version of
the
you?
symmetry between what happened to her. Yeah, it was essentially the symmetry. What has happened to her was also happened to me. Pretty much. And it, like she was going through it like pretty much the exact same time I was, and it was nice just coming on like just chatting about it and like just helping each other through it. So yeah, it's stuff like this is good for that. Yeah.
Okay, so I heard, a little bit of, things, outside of you, being your kids, but also different hobbies and forms of, giving yourself a break when it's just you.
Yeah.
So would you say this is a past issue or a current issue with struggling for motivation?
I've always like procrastinated, but like it's definitely over the last couple of years that like my motivations just like I used to love like playing World of Warcraft and stuff, which I still play. I've took a break from it, but like I'd play bass, I'd play piano sometimes. I'd do loads of stuff. I would like draw, I would paint, and I just lost all motivation for it. Well, I just don't want to do it anymore. I used to read a lot, and I just don't read. I've got all these books there. I just don't really read them. It's got no motivation. Really, it's sad. It's like all these things I like, but I don't enjoy doing it anymore.
So when it let's look at the times of when you're doing all these things. Like, what's your stress levels looking like?
High. I'm always stressed out. Yeah.
Like how high? Or you mean like like maybe like this, or like like way up there in the galaxy somewhere?
It depends on the day. It's normally how angry I am with myself. I just like my motivation where I'm not motivated enough to do something, but I haven't done this today, and I just get frustrated with myself, and I just get more stressed out because of that.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on the day.
Well, you know what that makes me think of is with our fellow gamers, especially because people know about VRChat, is like you have your standard health bar, right? Like 100 points, green bar, and like when I hear that, every time you're angry with yourself, I kind of see it as like maybe like a poison or like a tick of damage, so like 99, 98, 97, 96.
Yeah.
And you just sort of beat yourself up until you get to like 30 health, and in order to do the things you like to do, you need like 35. So like you no longer want or can enjoy your hobbies and other things, and then once you get below like 20, motivation is just like impossible, right?
Yeah. I really force myself to. It gets to the point where I just have to like I need to do it. You know what I mean? It's like I have to do it. Like so and it's really hard. Try and like force yourself to do it. But,
yeah, because you're when you get to that point of having to force it, it's stressing you out at that point, and you're like, oh, well, I can't do this. I need to get paid. I need to finish university.
Yeah. Well, I like making avatars as well. Because like so I do commissions and stuff sometimes. But like I did that for a while, and I got sick of doing it because that was mostly down to the clients that I had. They'd just be extremely demanding and like I'm not doing this anymore.
So on the flip side, if you feel comfortable sharing, what are the things that kind of don't help or even make things worse?
What make things worse? People. It's what makes it worse. Would also make it better is like certain amounts of pity, like friends, for example. Like I'll have like mood swings, right? Like because I got borderline personality disorder, so I'll have like which again has been caused for what's like more recent times, but like it's like I'll have mood swings, but I'll be fine the 1 minute, and I'll be like really upset the next. It's similar to bipolar, I guess, but not as severe. Yeah, and I'll get like a friend or something that like cares, but like and they'll like try and like mollycoddle me, I guess, like just like wrapping cotton wool, kind of, which I don't like. I don't like. I've always been like that though. Like if I've been ill, I've never liked like that. I've never liked the sympathy, I guess. But, like
Okay.
at the same time, I guess that would be helpful sometimes. But I don't know.
So I'm trying to kind of, get behind that. So it's like you're going through a tough time, and it sounds like you tell friends about it, and when they, try to help you, it kind of seems kind of like what you mentioned earlier, a little bit condescending, a little bit patronizing, and just that sympathy, right?
Well, it's not like I tell them about it. It's because some of them know me well and they know how I act on a good day, and they recognize when I'm not having a good day just by I don't tell them. They just recognize it. Like I won't act the same. I'll act a certain way. You know what I mean? They just pick up on it.
Mm-hmm. What are the things they do that you feel is, kind of bothers you? What is that? Like, paint us the picture. What does that look like?
It makes me feel weaker. That's what it is. It's like it just makes me feel weaker when someone like having to accept the help of someone. It just makes me feel more frustrated in myself that I can't do it on my own. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is.
So, is
But
there
that's
anything?
down to stubbornness.
Yeah. Is there anything that your friends could possibly do better, or do you feel as though it maybe lies within you?
It's a me problem, 100%. It's definitely a me problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of making me think of like, well, are you familiar with what the difference is between sympathy and empathy? And do you maybe like empathy better?
I don't know. I've always assumed they're the same thing. I don't know. Like, what's the difference? I mean, it seemed like a similar thing to me.
Well, if you use an analogy of like, somebody being in a hole, right? Sympathy is like the guy who's standing on top of the hill looking down into the hole, and he's like, oh man, that must suck. Damn. I hope you're doing all right. And then he walks away. Empathy is more like, well, I've been in that hole before, and I know how to climb out, and I know it's painful, and that person will jump down in there with you and walk alongside you to sort of, help you deal with whatever you're dealing with. That's kind of the best explanation that I've heard as far as analogies go.
A lot of people, like I've had like someone who's been interested recently go into that, and like they ended up like losing interest. Not just because of my defensive, because I come across as very cold, like because of the way I am towards people, like now, because of the trust issues and stuff. Like I act very cold towards people. I don't really mean it, and it's not my intention. But that's the impression I give off, I guess.
What kind of things do you do that people, either you or maybe people would say is cold? Like what happens?
It's my humor. I don't know. Like I really don't know. I don't notice I'm doing it a lot of the time. It's like other people like. For example, like I've got this friend that like I used to meet up on a regular basis. Obviously, when the COVID happened, that wasn't a thing. But we played, VRChat together and other stuff. And like, I was in a room just talking to them, like a few friends, and this other guy came in, like that was like I knew, right? And like he was like asking me how I am and stuff like that. And, just stuff that you normally would do, right? And like when you want to speak to a friend. And like he left like 10-15 minutes after. And my other friend like looked at me like, are you alright? I went, yeah, why? I said, did you realise like how you was acting towards him? I was like, what do you mean? It's like you was acting like really like off of him. Like he was, he kept asking you questions and he was like knocking it back, you know what I mean? Like I didn't even realise I was doing it. I had no idea. It was like subconscious.
Would you there's a couple things that I'm kind of thinking about right now. One is I've heard of people doing that when they're in autopilot mode. So, they're just kind of going about the routine, playing their games, and they're just sort of, just going through the motions. And maybe we're not always aware of doing things like that to people. So autopilot, and then maybe you didn't want to talk about what you were going through because of something that, might be painful. So I imagine he came in, he was asking questions like, hey, like, how you doing? What's going on? And you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm fine. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're being short? Would you consider, maybe being short with him?
Yeah, I guess. But like, yeah, I guess that's true. I went through a phase where I still like, like, I used to be a really, really huggy person. Like, I'd just go hug anyone, like, oh, how you doing? Like, hug him and stuff. I was like that, really, like, very much like that. And the last few years, like, when I had like a bit of a breakdown, I hated it after that. I hated people touching me, like, and it made me feel really bad because at one point, like, I didn't even want friends or family touching me, like my kids would come for a hug and stuff, and obviously I'd give them, but like I didn't like it. Like I'd be like really uncomfortable with it. Like just hugging my kids and stuff, or my parent, or my mom or something, So like, yeah, that made me feel really shit about myself. That I was like even like uncomfortable with hugging people that I shouldn't be.
So all of this kind of sounds like it contributes to the feeling frustrated with yourself thing, and it's just good to sort of explore these things and then just kind of ask questions like, oh well, why is this, or what does this look like, because awareness is really important for people to start walking on a more helpful path. So seeing as how you sort of talked about maybe being less cold to people, or maybe decreasing your stress in some ways, what do you think you could do to like work on that?
Give more of a routine, I guess, would help. A routine's all over the place, like I sleep weird times, and I guess I've got some kind of routine. I don't know, like be more. I'd probably, like, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe certain routines would start with, like, and I'd have to do something at a certain time, and you know what I mean, stick to it. Right? But I know I won't. So even if I say I will, I won't. So.
Well, routines are helpful because they take less energy for whatever you're doing. So I would think of that as like you're min-maxing your energy, so you would have routines to get what you need to do done, and when we do routines, we can go into autopilot and it's less painful. So even if you're kind of having to force yourself to do that schoolwork or job or whatever, if you have routines attached to them, it's sort of like the morphine for getting through some of the things that we have to do, and on top of that, then you have more energy for the things that you want to do. So making avatars, spending time with your kids, and sort of dealing with this issue better, from different people that I've talked to, and things that I've researched.
Generally, it's just like it's all the same issue. Like, it relates back to just like connecting with people, and like I don't know. I don't know. I'm always angry. Like I'm always like really suspicious and angry of everyone, and like myself, and it's just like a bit overwhelming sometimes.
Okay, so you'd say maybe the second issue is like, how do I connect with people and then maybe keep that relationship?
Yeah, I struggle. I push a lot of people away. It's quite a big problem, I guess. Yeah.
Well, so let me think. So you push people away. What causes you to push people away?
Lack of trust. Honestly, like I said, like relating back to like, it's mainly just due to my ex. Like, so it was when my ex cheated on me, it was my friend, so it was like a double backstab. And like people that were mutual friends with the both of us, they sided with her. A lot of them sided with her, which also didn't help. And then when I had to go live with my dad for a while because I had nowhere else to live, he was like taking huge advantage of me. He was charging me like an extortionate amount of money to stay there because he knew I had nowhere else to go. And like, so I was trying to save up for a new place, and like it was that much harder because how much he was charging me. And like he was definitely taking advantage of me. So I
Ah,
had all that shit, and then my dad, that I assume would be there to help, was not helping that much at all. He was like just like kicking the oils down. So yeah, it's kind of I find it very hard to trust people.
Jesus Christ, that sounds really frustrating to deal with. You know, I'm hearing far too many stories of, oh, you'd think that your family would be there to, be there for you, and supportive of you, and help you, to get back on your feet, and then we just hear the opposite. So, I heard it's hard to trust people because of things that have happened to you, and when those things happen to you, you sort of learn to really push people away so you don't get hurt.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Well, much like any good friend would ask, they'd probably say something like, well, like, does everyone do that, or just some people?
Well, yeah, it's not everyone, but like that. The thing is, like, how would you know? I think it's just like, how would you know that this other person's not gonna do that? You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. Like, the people that I do trust are people that I knew prior to it, and know I can trust them.
Okay.
So anyone new, like, it's just like, yeah, like, how do I know? How are you gonna fuck me? How are you gonna stab me in the back? You know what I mean? Like, I'm some, like, I just double think everything. Yeah, question everything.
So you said so it almost reminds me of like those like head trauma accidents where like they only remember everything before the accident. But in this case, you have the ability to, work through this. So what qualities are in the friends that you currently have that allow you to trust them?
Some of them were like help me through stuff, like when things got rough, and like a lot of them are like very honest and open-minded, and I respect that in people. Like, the more, or even if it's like hurtful what someone might say to you, I respect. I'd rather have the blunt honesty than people sugarcoating things.
Right. Yeah, and I say that kind of comes with maturity over time, in that it's better to maybe cause a little bit of struggle right now so that it's not an immense amount of pain in the future. Just better to be, open and honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting close to someone a number of months back, and we was like, oh yeah, we'll go out on a date and stuff like that, and like did that, and like as the months went on, I just got more and more complacent with not having them around, like, because I just like I had it in my head, like, just like, it's getting like a bit too more serious now. It's getting to that point where something might happen, and then at that point I just froze and like got scared and like backed up a bit, I guess.
You said this is with
I know I still
you were dating?
Hmm? Well, no, I wasn't dating them. It was like we went on a date or so, yeah, but like it was like it was nothing that ever got serious. It wasn't like, it was just it was just COVID stuff happened and it made it harder. But yeah, I just ended up just like backing off from them, like, because like I had all these thoughts going from my head, like they don't. I mean, it is now. Like, as soon as I get any kind of red flag from anyone, I just kind of like I back out. I back out straight away, even if it's something minor that isn't really a big deal.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that helped me remember. So it sounds like I'm kind of hearing you look for certain qualities, and
Yeah.
in like a hasty manner, you quickly look for qualities in people or potential partners that allow you to just push them away. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
What do you mean?
So
Right.
like let's talk about that. So what are some minor are minor flags even red, or are those maybe like yellow?
I don't know. They'd be color red flag to me, I guess. Like it's just like I'd react to it the same way. So
Okay. So you turn minor things that some people might say are yellow flags, like but they get sort of pushed into the red flag category. Red flags people usually
yeah,
say is like huge things like, oh, drugs, or this person's a criminal, or smoker, or just things that people really really cannot deal with. And
yeah.
it sounds like I'm kind of hearing, oh well, yeah, this girl farted on our date, and I'm just like, man, that's disgusting. See you later.
Yeah,
Later,
it's
bitch.
it's more to do with the personality traits.
Hmm.
Like that would be like also that. Yeah.
Okay, so you had said it yourself with friends or partners, just the people you want to build relationships with. You like openness and honesty, even to being blunt. What
Mhm.
other qualities would be in a person that you could feel comfortable building a connection with?
I guess just yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean everyone would be able to say affectionate, right? Obviously that as well. Like that, I'd say most people would say that. Obviously just traits like have similar interests and stuff. But I'd say, the mostly because I'd say most of the honesty thing and openness, like, because any issue comes up, you can deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be second guessing things then. Like, if someone was just open straight away, that this is how it is, this is this, I wouldn't be getting paranoid about it.
So you don't
You know what I mean? I
like
wouldn't be getting
that
paranoid about it.
uncertainty.
Huh?
So you don't like that
Yeah,
uncertainty.
exactly.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, because as I was talking to another person recently, we were talking about how uncertainty is like, it's like the nitro in a car. It makes things so much worse, so much heavier, so much harder to deal with. It just really starts to increase the pace of everything. Your mind's racing. You're wondering, like, is this person lying to me? And a lot of people they just don't have space for that. They don't have time for that. So honesty is you could even say that's like the lazy way, like, oh, just get it out of the way right now. I don't want to deal with it later.
That's
So
what I do. I mean, I guess it's a trait in me that it's the only positive. It's the only. I mean, I don't like a lot of things about myself, but how my honesty is probably one of the few things I do like about myself. Just because like it cuts out a lot of bad things, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't like it where sometimes I'll upset people. Like sometimes my honesty can get me in trouble,
mhm.
and that's a negative part of it. But overall, I think it's a overall positive trait.
So let's list all the qualities, like all of them, as much as we can think of people that you could trust. So like, all the green flags. So we can put the red flags aside for now. So you see somebody and they're open and they're honest, straightforward.
Hmm.
What else? What else might you see in a person that helps build that trust, so you don't have the reaction to kind of push them away?
Someone who's not overly selfish, like someone who's mostly like selfless to an extent, but not to the point where like, they're like,
Hurting themselves.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But
so compassionate.
yeah, I guess that's yeah.
Hmm. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, I mean, to be honest, it sounds like that's really all you need. Those traits can be rare sometimes in people.
Mhm.
How might you deal with, the red flags? What would be reasonable
I
red
mean,
flags?
reasonable. I say reasonable to you might not be to me might not be reasonable to you. I mean, to me, it's like a reason. I think a red flag to me would be me saying something to someone that I like and them getting offended by it. Because to me, if they're getting offended by something I say, then they're not compatible with me. Because like I'm gonna keep upsetting this person, right? So like, then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm probably not gonna be socialized with these people anymore, or this person anymore, even though I like them, because I'm just gonna end up pissing them off.
So,
I mean, or
are people allowed to be offended?
well, yeah, of course they are. I mean, but like, it's how people respond to it. Like, it's very rare I'll get offended, but like, I have a good friend that like he once said something the once to me that actually really upset me, and like it's rare that happens. But like, instead of like what some people would do and like get upset with that person and like start an argument, or like just ignore them and like back off from them and like, oh, this person or so and so said this to me, and you know, what I did was like I confronted them straight away and like, I did not like that, like, and I just had them right there and then. Like I really do not appreciate that kind of thing, and like the matter was solved in a matter of minutes. You know what I mean? It just moved on. So
and what's that called for everybody sitting in the back? Say it louder. Communication. You communicated something you didn't like in a respectable way, and it was solved in minutes.
Yeah, it's just that some times I'll upset people and they'll get extremely angry at me and they'll attack me, you know, and like, and the thing is, in me, I am very very sharp-minded with like people being like negative a lot towards that. Like I think it was a year or so ago, there was this girl that lived near me, and she was getting friends with this guy. It was just on VRChat, but she lived near me, and like so I was talking to her, we was going on, you know, I was talking fine, because, you know, we were just talking about where we live, because like she lived so like really close to me, and like it got to the subject of like me having the flu, like you know, just saying, oh yeah, I'm feeling a bit shit for the week and stuff. And then she made fun, like, oh yeah, men getting like the man flu, like men like put things
The
on more when they
man
have a
flu.
cold or the flu, right?
What is
Right.
that?
And well, so they say that men just like, oh, I'm ill, and they can't like play a big baby more when they're ill, right? When they
Okay.
have a cold or the flu. That's basically what she was saying, like the man flu. And like, I said it's actually true. Like, men suffer from colds and flus more than women, because women have more estrogen in the body, which help fight off diseases, and women have a higher core temperature than men do. Women's core body temperature is higher than that of a man. So when women get a temperature rise, they know how to deal with it more, where men don't. And I said that like when it comes to like dizziness and nausea from like you know, having a temperature, a man's brain, this is like complete scientific fact, I wasn't like slagging them off or anything like that, a man's brain is 12.5% bigger than a woman's on average. But I said a woman's brain's that much more efficient, roughly. So, but because the difference in size of the man's brain, they struggle to cool down more, which is why like men struggle. That's basically what I was saying to her, right? It was just like a scientific fact, like what it is. And all she heard was woman's brain is smaller than man's, right? So then that feminazi kicked off kind of thing, and like she attacked me straight away, right? Oh, you find that? So I like stood up for myself, and like I just at that point I thought, you want to be insulted, fine, I'll fucking insult you, and I insulted her, like purposely insulted at that point, and like so. I think that's the issue with me. Like, if she said to me, oh, like, if she said to me, oh, like, why are you saying that kind of thing? Like, she said it calmly, and I said, look, and I'd explain myself kind of thing. But the point that she lashed out and attacked me with it, like, then I just, like, it's all the gloves are off at that point, and I'm just, like, I'm very, I've got to like. When people say they're all bark, no bite, I'm not. Like, my barks as works as my bite. Like, I'll just if I have to, like, I'll just I guess I'm just very.
That sounds like you just you let her have it.
Well, yeah. What the thing is to me, I expect to be treated as I would treat other people, and as soon as somebody disrespects me, like, then I would just like, yeah, I'll just like go all out. Like, I guess it's but that's the issue I have with some people. Like, because I easily offend people. Like, that can happen. I'll get a lot of arguments with people if they're like that. If they're the kind of person that's gonna lash out like that.
Okay, so there's something I want to point out right now that may be helpful to you in particular, as far as like, coaching goes, because remember, this is not therapy. It's not therapy. We're just two people talking. It's coaching at the most. Okay, so what's two things I noticed was, so sometimes you're perceived as being cold. So I want you to keep that in mind. And what does cold look like? You're short, you sort of lower the tone in your voice. It kind of sounds like you're disinterested, like meh, you start to...
And when I upset people, like I did, like when I upset people, I don't care. Like, right. when I offended her, right? As soon as she said that to me, I did not give a shit. Like, oh, you're offended, I don't care. Like, I guess that as well comes to cold, like I don't care if I offend people.
So we got to keep that in mind. It sounds like she was like emotionally led. Like she had something that just pushed her button. She got emotional. Then she started attacking you. Then you're like, okay, gloves are off. All right. And then your emotions started getting involved. And then once things calmed down, you sort of returned to that, level-headed conversation. But at this point, you're like, I don't feel like I can trust this person because they got offended at me being honest. Am I kind of hearing that right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that was a lot to take in. I need a second to think. Let's see. Okay, so for that situation, it sounds as though each side has something that they could do better on for talking about difficult subjects. What would be something, or actually here, now let me think of a better question. Okay, so if you're trying to help somebody be more relaxed, whether they're upset about something or they're going through an issue, how do you usually talk to them?
It depends if it is. Like, you talk about a friend or just a random person?
Both. So you see somebody upset and you kind of want to help them get to a better place. What kind of goes into that?
The same, blunt honesty. Like, it's like, if I know, okay, so if I don't know the person, then I don't know if they're gonna get offended, so I'll be probably even more blunt. If I know them and I know certain things I say might upset them, I'll still be honest, but I'll like pussyfoot around it, like sugarcoat it a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, but I'll still be honest. You know what I mean? But like, so it'll still might upset them, but like, because I think if someone wants your opinion about something or wants advice, then like, honestly, like I there was someone once that went through a breakup kind of thing.
Let me try again.
And, like, they want people.
Let me try again.
Okay.
Your kids are crying. Okay, how do you approach them?
It depends what they're crying at, honestly. If it's always something stupid, like
it's something
like my
real.
kid, like,
let's say it's something real.
if it's
something, yeah.
If it's something like he's getting bullied or something, then yeah, of course I'm gonna show like compassion and like I'm gonna,
And what does that look like? What does that compassion? What does that compassion look like?
I just like hug him and stuff like that, and like help him talk through it, like, and what and like but I mean, that's my kids. I mean, like, I'm definitely defensive of my kids, right? I mean, I'm gonna be,
So,
But like if it's something like my kid just crying over something stupid, like he broke his toy or something, like, oh, okay, if his broke toy is his fault, for example, like then I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna give so much shit. It's like, oh, tough shit, you broke. You should have listened to me. Like, like, oh, I'm not interested, kind of thing. Like, but like, I guess that's just the way I deal with it.
okay, so let's go even further than that, because I'm even as like, you know, a friend, I'm sort of sensing there's something here. How's your tone of voice when you talk to your kids and you're trying to console them or cheer them up?
Just friendly, I guess. I mean, pretty much the tone I've got now. Like, but like, you know,
Maybe
if I'm
softer?
talking to you about something now. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, my 5-year-old, yes, probably. My 8-year-old turned 9, probably not as much. But like, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be stern of them, you know. But yeah.
So we're going back to like what compassion looks like, something that a lot of people, you know, I'd say need, especially in those heated moments. Because I'd invite you to consider that, you know, once you push somebody's button, they kind of turn into a kid. So you have to think about, well, how do we talk to kids? We're warm, we're compassionate, we change our tone, we become more patient, we make sure we don't escalate our voice. You know, we have to make sure that we're respecting their feelings, you know, as much as we can, because that's going to be what helps them feel better and be less likely to throw a tantrum. Because now we go back to that conversation we had, and what does she do? Well, oh, you know, what are you saying? Women are stupid? You're saying, oh, we have small brains and men are superior? You know, because that's exactly what a child tantrum looks like, is you let your emotions take over. So I would contemplate how, like, what you might do to give the same compassion to more people.
I don't know, because like when I upset her, she lashed out, and when somebody upsets me, I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they are purposely trying to get a rise out of me.
I'd say that's a
Then,
different
you know,
situation. If somebody's trying to be a fucker and is like really trying to poke you and stab you and, you know, just get a rise out of you, I'd say that's a different situation. You can sort of, you know, handle that as you
but
will.
like because I'll have people kick off like that, like I would expect them not to. And if for me, them talk to me like that, it's disrespectful. Even though, like, if they had said to me, like, oh, you know, whatever the situation is, and like you've upset me what you said, I would say, oh, I'm sorry, I won't tell her, you know, I'll apologize straight away. But like, as soon as someone like kicks off me like that, I'm not going to apologize anymore because I don't deserve it.
Okay, so that's something to talk about. Why did she not deserve the same patience and compassion?
Because she's an adult, and she should. Well, she's an adult, and she should know, like, not to speak to people like that.
Should?
Yeah, why shouldn't you? I mean, like, you know, calling someone like a dickhead or a prick and shouting at someone's not right? You shouldn't be doing that to people. So that's what she was doing, and I'm not gonna respond positively to that.
Okay. And does everyone have a positive upbringing? Has everyone learned everything that they need to for every situation?
Well, no, of course not. But like if someone's having a bad day, if I'm having a bad day, I try my very hardest not to take it out on other people, to the point where I probably won't say anything. Now, sometimes you'll get someone who's having a bad day, and they'll lash out at me, and then somebody will also go, oh, they didn't mean it, they're having a bad time. I'm like, that's not my problem. Like, that's their issue. Like, they're bringing their issues on me. That's not fair.
Right, and I'm saying you're absolutely just on the mark with people who you typically will choose to spend your time with and have conversations with. The thing I would invite you to consider is that not everyone knows what respect, what manners, what a healthy conversation looks like.
Mhm.
And until they see what that looks like, even when they're at their worst, then they won't know what to do. If you consider yourself a teacher at all times. You're teaching her that the second she, there's a disagreement, the gloves are off. But I mean, because she lashed out at you, rather than, maybe trying to be more patient and compassionate, to where she might think, oh, well, this guy, when I talked to him and when I kind of got upset, he was patient and he was still nice. And she might be less likely to do that again, either with you or the next person. But I do fully agree with you that people definitely, it is the adult thing to do, to voice your feelings and not attack people. However, not everyone has learned how to be an adult in all circumstances.
Mm.
Just sort of need to. Okay, there's some other things. Oh yeah. Okay, so the warmer you are towards people, the less likely you are to have like a serious problem, like things to turn into drama. The patience and compassion, and as you've noticed, the colder you are toward people, the more things start to escalate, or people will start to distance themselves from you.
It doesn't mean they hate me if I get cold. It's just like I'm not mean to the people I'm cold with. I'm not like, I would just like, it's just like I don't know. It's like it's clear that it's like they get the view that I don't care. Like if someone likes me or they consider me a friend, and I act a certain way, sometimes the way I act towards people, they seem to think I don't care, which is normally not the case. But it's just what I give off sometimes, I guess. I think that's due to the lack of empathy, honestly, because as I used to be a lot more like sympathy and empathetic towards people, but like after I've had stuff happen to me, I don't care as much anymore. Because bitterness towards people, generally, I'm more bitter towards people. I like people in general. I'm like 90% of people are selfish assholes and just out for number one. And like I have that in the back of my head and think like, oh, why should I help this person? Because they won't do the same thing for me, or you know what I mean? Like.
Is it helpful to put everybody in the same box?
But people I don't know. I mean, it's not fair, but it's helpful. To me, anyway.
Helpful because it keeps you safe from getting hurt?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's not fair. Of course, it's not. I fully agree. It's not fair for me to tar everyone with the same brush.
So when you have friends kind of coming up to you and they're, and I mean, I would be bold enough to be like, you don't get these opportunities every day, Sometimes your friends for life are very few and far between. So I at least try to treat every opportunity as something special. So you have somebody coming up to you and they're trying to put in some effort to care, and you kind of are, whether you, sounds like whether you realize it or not, because you talked about not being aware of it, right? You put them in that same box, and people can be pretty smart with recognizing that. They you have a friend come up to you, he's like, hey, so I'm not anything like these people at all. I don't like that you're assuming that I'm like these people, or I do these things. People that, and that's how people react when someone's cold toward them.
But that I'd respect. If somebody did that, I'd probably be more open to them, because like, if someone thinks that but they don't say anything to me to it, like my friend pointed out, she said like, do you realize how you acted towards that guy just? I went, no, I didn't realize, and she pointed it out, like, and like and she said like you did that with me at first. You was like that with me, like, and it's not very nice. So and she and like and like, yeah, I mean like it made me realize some stuff, but like it's just like if that guy had done the same thing, and like what like you just said, like why you don't like you're acting like this towards me, then I'd acknowledge it, because sometimes I said I don't realize I'm doing it, and like because of the openness and honesty, I would be more inclined to get to know that person, because they, instead of keeping their mouth shut, not saying anything to me, and they've just said it outright, then I'm more inclined to care, I guess.
Well, there's a couple things that I'm kind of hearing and seeing here. So one is, sounds like your friend's really perceptive, but I'd be willing to say that, like, definitely not every, a lot of people are not that perceptive, some people may be off in their own world, and the person that's trying to connect with you might not even realize like what's going on. They think they're like, oh, this person is just really mean or cold, and they don't even give it a second thought. It's not that they wouldn't communicate that, it's just they're not even thinking about that. So I'd say it's like a safe guideline to just try and see all what you can do. And sounds like you're aware that sometimes you're a bit cold, which, to be fair, is due to a lot of other things going on in your life. Because when you're so stressed out that things become heavy and it's hard to motivate yourself, you don't really got much energy, and your empathy goes down, and things just become difficult. So that makes sense. How might you keep yourself more aware of when you're being cold?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, sometimes like the only time I realise I'm cold with people most times is if people point it out to me. That's rare. People do that. Or they'll just like not like me straight away. Like I'll have especially in this game. Like I've been here for a while. A lot of people know me, and like I'll join in like some mutual friends kind of thing. Like they'll go, oh, like, hi Envi kind of thing, and they'll talk to me, and then like there'll be another guy that I know, but like maybe he's not on my friends list, or I've seen him a lot of times, and we've never really added each other. And like if so, like it's happened a few times where like that person's left or whatever, and they've gone and they've asked like, oh, do you two know each other kind of thing, and like, yeah, we've seen loads of times, but like and then I've had some last week, and someone asked, well, how come you're not added or anything, and like, I don't know, and like when they spoke to the person, they says because they just don't like me, which it's normally like not everyone's gonna like you, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna go for like everyone liking you. That's just impossible. But like the reasons for them saying they didn't like me was because I seem very mean-spirited and like towards them kind of thing, which is, I don't know. I mean, like overall, I'm like, if you get past a certain barrier of me, I'm quite warm-hearted, really. But it's just my facade, I guess, just doesn't seem that way.
right? And you could sort of attribute that to, in this game, not as much. In real life, people have the resting bitch face, RBF.
Yeah.
But I sort of hear this go back to, what can you do yourself to recognize, or maybe do something a little bit different, find a trick, a strategy, so that you can be aware of, oh, I might be being cold right now, or maybe you communicate like something in advance. Because you're right, not everyone is gonna like you for one reason or another, but this is like a pattern at this point. I've heard this like 8 times just over the course of the conversation. I don't realize it, or I'm cold, a friend tells me this person leaves. Just it's happening over and over. I think it would be helpful to figure out, how you could be aware of that more often, and then, do something about it. So what might you do about, being more aware?
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know. I really don't know. Because I don't know. For me, it's like I joke around a lot. It's like my humor. Some people get my humor. Like, I'll say something to someone, and even though like it might be offensive, like, I mean, especially like in the UK or like Australia and places like that, you go, "Oh, you're right, cunt," kind of thing. And like people call them cunts or like, whatever. Like, and it's completely normal. Like, it's fine. It's completely fine. Like, so like something like that, for example, and they all like are like that, and some people got that kind of humor and they're fine of it, and you get people that won't. And like when they act negatively towards you about it, I don't seem to care. Well, like, normally I don't, honest, but like I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know how to like deal with it. Like, because I just struggle to connect to people. Like, I know loads of people like out in the real world and in here and other games. A lot of people know me. A lot of people, friends of me, if you want to put it that way. And like, but I'm not really close to anyone. Not really. Like, I'm friends with a lot of people, but I never get close to anyone. Like, I'm like, do you know when you go to a party and there's like groups of friends, like, everyone knows each other, but you'll have like a group of 5 out there and they're quite really buddy together. But they know those people over there, but it's just those 5 and they're the closest.
Yeah.
And then you'll get it. I'm not in any of those groups. I'll like just float around from group to group, you know what I mean? And like they're completely fine with me, but I can never get into those groups. But like I'm in a certain circle of people that I'm more close to than others, because I can't get in there. Like, there's something that I do, or the way I act, that's like stopping me, that's holding me back from getting to that point, and I can't pinpoint it. I really can't.
We've talked about one of them, right? Do you remember?
I'm just defensive.
Yeah, you push people away, and you aren't aware when you're being cold with people, and you actually do have people who, are interested and they want to sort of build that connection. It's not something that happens right away. Obviously, it's something that takes some time. But what I keep hearing you say is like, you don't really give that time for that relationship to build. You are very I don't want to say scared or fearful, but just you are very quick to assume the worst situation possible is going to happen with that person, because you learned that the last time I trust a partner and a friend at the same time, because you talked about the double backstab, that everything went to shit, and man, I don't want that to happen again. So, fuck everybody else. I'm just gonna, do my own thing, and maybe I'll try to connect with people, but then, that feeling comes back, and nope. And then you push them away again. So that's number one. is, you know, we have to be willing to trust people, because what is a connection, right? What does a connection look like? What are the qualities of a connection?
Trust. This is probably the main one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What else?
I don't know, I just really don't know. It's why I struggle. I just like I don't know. Normally, when you have like similar hobbies, I guess, or similar like humor, but like the trust seems like the main one. But like I don't know. I really don't know.
Trust, similar interests.
Hmm.
I could start listing off a few more, but I think you can maybe get one more. We've talked about it a bit.
Compassion? I don't know. I guess.
Hey, there it is. Right? You know, people like to be connected, if they can, on a physical level and a mental level and an emotional level. You know, they want to know that they can trust a person to open up to them about their feelings and have fun with them in hobbies, and, you know, just sort of have all of the bridges connect. And what, you know, we've sort of talked about is, well, you kind of burn the bridge of trusting them, so the emotional is kind of gone. And I sort of imagine like there's a gap in the bridge for the you know, conversations and common interest, because, you know, sometimes you might have a disagreement and the bridge kind of cracks. And as for, you know, doing things together, I mean, you can always spend time with random people, but that's not necessarily building a connection if the emotional and the mental components aren't there. Because part of what keeps people close to each other is like, okay, I trust you. I've shared, you know, my emotions with you, and, you know, you've been supportive of me, and I know that you're reliable and that you can be warm and you won't judge me. You know, being non-judgmental is huge. And then of course it's one hell of a nice touch to be able to do activities with people and be able to joke around and have fun, because, you know, that really takes the stress off. So when you talk about building a connection, get all those three things, but then also be consistent with it. You know, you can't just hang out with someone 2-3 times and expect them to be a best friend for life. So we were sort of talking about what the qualities of a connection are. And to the first issue you sort of talked about was kind of like finding motivation, and how that wrapped into depression and anxiety and the things that are sort of going on in your life, that you're sort of, you know, the balancing act. And the second problem is kind of, you know, being social and maintaining, or building and maintaining a connection. And then the problems that we found with that is you kind of push people away and you're perceived as being cold. And now we were talking about what a connection is, so that, you know, even on a logical level, if we're not trustful of each other, if we don't have similar interests, if we're not, you know, opening up to each other and supporting each other, that connection it's not going to build. So, you know, we said a connection requires similar interest, trust, and what was it? Similar interest, trust, and then opening up to each other emotionally. Is there anything else that you feel like a connection might need, even for you personally?
Not particularly.
Well, sounds like that's all we need. And, you know, from the conversation, I've heard you say multiple times, like, well, definitely sounds like you got the mental bit there and the similar interest bit there. So what's missing?
The trust. It's like, it's just there's a connection, right? The trust, I guess. the main issue to me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
And people can pick up on it when people, like I said, people aren't stupid. People can pick up when I don't trust them,
mhm.
and then they tend to like lose interest because I act like that.
So then here's the big question, right? Still coaching, by the way. Oh my God, don't smite me, somebody out there. Okay, so what would you do to work on trusting people? What would be the most helpful for working on figuring out who is trustable, and then how you can be accepting of them.
I don't know how you can really judge if someone's trustworthy or not until you get to know them more.
Okay, so that would be one thing. Get to know them, right? And what would be some things to look out for that would show whether they are trustable or not trustable?
I don't know. I mean, I thought I knew, but like, I don't know. What I thought I knew was trustworthy ended up not being the case. So I don't know.
Right, because
I think that's the main issue.
we had been talking about it, and yellow flags into red flags, and trying not to put people in the same box because it's not fair, as you mentioned. So, someone who's trustworthy, I would say, they are aware of how other people are feeling. So, they have, some sense of empathy, whether, because there's like genuine empathy on an emotional level, and then there's also cognitive empathy, and you can work with cognitive empathy as well. So they're sort of aware of people's feelings. So that'd be one thing that makes someone trustable, because then they'd be less likely to hurt your feelings. I say a second thing would be reliability. So can you, again, trust them to be consistent? If you plan to hang out or talk or do something together, are they going to be on time, or are they going to flake out? That would be a pretty huge component to it.
Yeah, I've got a friend like that that can be a bit hard to be reliable sometimes.
Mm-hmm. What else? Yeah, because I'm thinking too, because I know it's just the aware of someone's feelings and being reliable. Do they take care of themselves? How well is how up to par is their self-care? Because if people are struggling to take care of themselves, then they're not going to have anything left to give to anyone else, which means that all they're going to do is take. And if they're just taking, they're not going to respect your feelings wholeheartedly. And then that kind of, goes back to the first two things you said. So if their self-care is a bit too low, right? People can manage. But if it's too low and they're not taking care of themselves at all, I wouldn't be able to trust that person to, be a good friend, let's say.
I mean, I guess my like self-care is not as up to par. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but like it's definitely not what it used to be.
Mm-hmm. And I would have to imagine, when you were at your lowest, that probably didn't have much to give to anyone else until you managed to work through your issues, right?
Oh yeah, when I was at my lowest, I didn't eat for weeks. Like I don't think I ate anything for like 2 weeks. I think the only thing I ate was like the odd apple. I think I just drink, a bit, and then yeah, I didn't like share or anything for a couple of weeks. I didn't leave the house for a couple of weeks. I didn't go to work.
So we got aware of feelings, they are reliable, and they take care of themselves. And like what you talked about earlier is well, actually no, that kind of goes into it, because when you had that conversation with the one girl, if she was aware of other people's feelings, then she wouldn't have lashed out at you. I think it's important to not always assume that people are out to get you and that they are trying to hurt your feelings. I think that, you know, sometimes when we get oh god.
No, sorry. I guess that's sometimes my issue though. Like I'm unaware of people's feelings sometimes, but a lot of the time it's like I have to be made aware of them sometimes. You know, so I can be, what's the word? I guess I don't know what's the word I could use. A bit like not very observant. I'm not very observant sometimes. I guess, yeah.
Yes, I sort of see it as like when we're in a good place, we have this natural radar for empathy and it picks people's emotions up like passively, right? But if we're super stressed out, then our radar is basically out of juice and our awareness, it's not automatic anymore, and we actually have to be consciously thinking about it and aware of it, which kind of sounds like is what happened in your situation. Your radar used to be very, very lively, and then just over time the batteries just kind of ran out, and now you have friends telling you, hey, your radar's kind of busted there, like that person kind of just shooed them away, you're short with them and cold with them, you did the same thing to me. So somebody might be able to say taking care of the other issues, right? So you have less stress and more space. That would help because then you'd have your radar back. But until you can take care of those other issues, this would kind of have to be a conscious effort. So that's why I had asked, you know, like conversations I had with other people's, well, what can you do to be more aware of that? And can you say something to someone that might help? You know, like, oh, hey, I know I may come across as cold and distant, but that's not how I actually mean to come across. You know, maybe today's a bad day, or, you know, just kind of like what you said with communicating and resolving things in, you know, a few minutes. Yeah. The first thing we talked about, motivation. So working with the motivation, and then being social and building and keeping connections. Is there anything else, whether it's similar or different, you know, that you might be having a problem with right now or in the past, or something that you'd like to talk about?
No, really. It's just it's mostly been covered. It's just, yeah, there's the motivation, lack of trust, frustrating myself all the time. Yeah, that's pretty much most of the things. Yeah.
Okay, so frustrating yourself.
So that's the reason why I got the cat. Because I really wouldn't look after myself at all, like at all. And I, apart from I got the weekends, and I know I'd clean the house up and stuff, and like try and get on track when I had the kids. You know, I didn't let the, you know, I was like, when I had the kids, I was like, all systems go. I, you know, was responsible and stuff. You know, make sure the house was clean and stuff. But like during the week, if I wasn't at work or something, it's like, yeah, I don't care. But I got the cat, and about, well, he's 10 months old now. And the cat kind of helped, like, to make sure like the cat was fed, litter tray was changed, you know, and like, you know, so getting the cat helped, I guess, with a bit of motivation. But yeah.
Before we, I guess, talk a little bit more about the main two, as far as being frustrated with yourself, I think it would be helpful to, you know, explain in detail like what that looks like, you know, for everyone. What kind of things do you either feel or think and say to yourself to where you're like, oh man, I'm just so frustrated.
Yeah, I'm just angry at myself, like, you know, like I just like, you need, like, you know, if mostly it's due to the motivation, like you need to do this, like why aren't you doing it, kind of thing. Like, and I'm just thinking like I'll get distracted again. I'm very easily distracted, and like and then I realize that I'm not doing certain things again. And like, I don't know, I just get angry with myself. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, you know, when you're at, let's say like you're at the grocery store, and you're getting someone that's packing your bags for you, and they're some incredibly slow and dim-witted, and it's frustrating. You're watching them trying to get stuff into this bag, and they're useless at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're watching them in frustration. You get it's like that, but it's like aimed at myself. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah,
I
why
wanna do
can't
something
you just
about
get the
it,
motivation in the bag?
just-
Just put it
yeah.
in the bag.
yeah,
Get it in there.
It's kind of
No, that makes sense.
kind of want to like yank the bag off him and do it yourself, kind of thing. I guess that's kind of like how I feel with myself.
Okay. So, what I kind of hear from that is like, it's like, dude, just put it in the bag. It's so simple. Like, why can't you do it? Like, here, let me just do it real quick. Except, you know, you sort of have this perception of like, motivation is something that you can just put into a bag and pick up and, you know, go do whatever you need to do. But what I'm also kind of hearing is like, let's imagine everything weighs 100 times more, and the object you're trying to put into the bag, you can barely even lift that thing and even just carry it like 1 foot over. And let's say you do get it in the bag. Now you try to pick it up and you can't. And you're just tugging at it. It's like, you know, you got like a blacksmith anvil in there, and you're just like, I can't go do what I need to do. And even if you do pick it up, the bag rips, and you're just like, well, what do I do now? Because you're trying to force it.
Yeah, it's a force a lot of things.
So, okay, so I'd say the frustration with yourself is kind of a byproduct of the motivation, you know, and then from other, you know, people I've talked to, it sounds like the like a stress and pleasure balance. We can definitely. I definitely believe you can overcome the connection and the social connections with people and you know, starting to trust more. I definitely believe that that's entirely, you know, like within your ability. For a lot of people, the motivation and sort of things that are happening in their life, that tends to be more of a grind, like a long-term grind, and you take care of, you know, different pieces like one at a time. So that typically sounds like, oh, you know, getting good sleep, exercising, eating well, and having something that's meaningful in your life, whether your, you know, career or your kids or, you know, something along those lines, to where you don't get the that helps you stay away from these stupid thoughts as you mentioned earlier. So in terms of improving that motivation, you know, kind of getting those buffs knocked out would really help you have more energy to deal with the things in your life. And then as far as being social and building that connection, being aware of like what qualities trustable people have, and identifying that, and then reminding yourself like, oh, hey, this person is not going to screw me over, and just kind of telling yourself that, you know, over and over. And once you start getting things done and you're holding on to these relationships, there's kind of not much to be frustrated about anymore. So, you know, I would hypothesize that would just sort of go away, it would vanish. So with that all being said, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before maybe, you know, you might have questions for me?
Not really, no. That's pretty much it. I don't know, it's the main thing is the motivation thing. Honestly, I think that's the main issue I have right now. Well, the trust, the motivation, the trust. I don't know. I know, like, I need to learn to trust people, and I need to know to get to people more. But I just subconsciously just end up screwing it up. Like, I know I'm doing it. And I find it very frustrating as well that I know I'm doing it, but I can't seem to stop doing it.
Okay, so
You know, it's like someone addicted to alcohol. You know what I mean? Someone who's an alcoholic knows an alcoholic and they don't need to fix it, but they just keep on drinking it. You know, it's just I'm well aware of it. Oh, I can tell. I'm well aware of it. But like,
well, okay, so yeah, that's something to talk about. All right, let's take a journey. Okay, think about like the last time that you started to become like subconsciously aware that you're doing this thing again. But maybe rewind like 5-10 minutes before that, and then just start walking through your day or that experience, and maybe we can figure out what goes wrong or what the steps look like, and if we can identify it as early as possible, then you might have a better chance with actually doing something about it. So what would be the last time that, you know, it could either be about the trust thing or motivation or, you know, just something like that.
no, the first thing, I I don't know, like, let's say I'd get someone, like, for instance, like, often get, like, if it's VRChat, for example, I'll get people complimenting my avatars. Like, they'll come to me and compliment my avatars, and I'm like, oh, that's nice, kind of thing. And I don't respond well to,
Compliments?
yeah, I don't respond well to compliments. So you'll get people like saying, "Oh, that's nice," and, "Oh yeah, thanks," and that's it. Oh yeah, thanks, like, and that's it. I'll leave it there, and they'll
Thanks,
like,
bitch.
yeah, it's just, "Oh yeah, thanks," and then they'll like keep put like, so this one, for example, they'll like point things earlier than it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah," I'm like, and then I'll get frustrated because they won't shut up. Like, and I'm just like, yeah. I just do like, just tell them to shut up or just leave them to it. And when they just carry on, like, I'll just like go, yeah, 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 and it'll just seem like I'm not interested. But really, it's not that. It's just I just prefer them not to do that. You know what I mean? But like, and then it probably comes across as I don't care or I'm being a bit of an ass kind of thing.
Well, I mean, like, let's think about that for a second. So, why do people give compliments?
Well, yeah, but obviously they get compliments, yeah, because they like us. It's not that I appreciate compliments. I just don't like them. It's not like I know they're being nice.
Wait. Okay. Okay, let me repeat that back to you, Frank. Okay, it's not. It's not.
It makes. I know. Okay, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to be nice. I gotta put it that way. They're obviously being nice. I appreciate the fact that they're being nice and they're not being an asshole, you know, and they seem like a nice person. I appreciate that they're trying, but I just don't like the compliments.
And well, I mean, so what about compliments bothers you?
It's because I hate myself. I think that's what it is. I don't like myself, and so when someone gives me any kind of compliment, I don't like it because I think, well, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like
I feel like you don't deserve it.
You pretty much, yeah. It's like somebody's teasing you or something. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Okay, and well, what? I mean, you said you hate yourself, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. Is that mostly just due to the lack of motivation and, you know, getting things done? Is that why?
Yeah, I'd say probably.
Okay.
I'd say probably, yeah, one of them, yeah. And the fact that it's the way I am towards people sometimes. Well, just the way it's just that. Oh, I just say it's the way I am towards people, I guess. And when I do upset people, I don't like upsetting people. Like I you know, I don't want to upset people, but I end up doing that just because of my bluntness, kind of thing, I guess. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's due to lack of motivation in the first place that's causing it. I don't know. But like,
well, yeah. So let me throw the chain together. So okay, we start with having a lack of motivation, and you need to get things done, and then you get frustrated when you don't get those things done, which causes you to hate yourself. And when you hate yourself, you're feeling in a pretty low place where I'd probably be bold enough to say that you're less likely to trust people because you're kind of in that negative mood, and leading up to what you said right now with the whole compliments thing. Well, because you're not getting the things that you need to do done, and you're in this kind of negative mood, you're like, man, I'm so stupid. I'm worthless. Man, I can't fucking do anything. Like I just gotta put the motivation in the bag, and I can't even put it in the bag. Man, I hate myself. And like someone comes along, it's like, man, don't compliment me. Like I can't even put the motivation in the bag. Like what the fuck? So here we are. So, you know, going back to the beginning to stop the snowball effect, you know, sounds as though, as you mentioned before, making some routines, you know, eating more, sleeping better, giving a crack at exercise, but one thing at a time, I'd say, you know, just focus on improving the things that take care of your physical body, like many people say, so that you have the energy to, you know, put into, you know, energy is kind of like parallel to motivation, right? When you have the energy to do something, it's a lot easier. But if you're very low on energy, it's like, you know, glass against the chalkboard kind of situation. It's really painful. Because, you know, if you had an energy bar, that's kind of like your willpower, right? And every time you have to force yourself to do something because you don't have any energy, well, now you have 80 and 60 and 20 and you don't got any left. So that's my thoughts on it from, you know, what I've read and people I've talked to, my experience with myself as well. So I think that kind of all ties together. So now, you know, with the time we have left, you know, because we were sort of getting into the questioning phase, but it sounds like we could, you know, maybe do something here. Where do you feel like you could start to sort of help with the motivation piece? Like, where would you start?
Sleeping routine, I guess. Get my sleeping in order, I guess.
Yeah. And let's maybe put the magnifying glass on that. How would you start to improve your sleep?
I don't know. I was being less stubborn myself. I just like I'll stay up like late if I am gonna be anywhere the day after, and I'm meant to be doing work and I don't because I got up late. Or you know, it's just then it just snowballs on from there. And like because I got up late, I'll go to bed late again. You know what I mean? So it's like,
So that's something really you kind of got something there. That's that might be the very start of the whole snowball effect. Sleep's very powerful when you are consistent with it, and hopefully it's restful if you're fortunate enough. So, you know, I kind of heard I stay up late, and then that causes a chain reaction of different things in my life. So we're gonna go even further of, well, what can I do to prevent myself from staying up late? How can I go to bed when I need to?
I don't know. It's because sometimes I struggle to sleep. Just in how stressed I am. Like sometimes I just can't sleep, even if I'm tired. I can't turn my brain off sometimes. Some anxiety. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I go to bed and I got these things flying through my head, and I just can't shut my brain off.
So then we get into, how do I relax? Because if I can't relax, then I can't go to sleep. What helps with relaxing the most?
It depends, really. Normally it's like, you know, like doing things I like that helps me relax, but because of lack of motivation, I don't want to do it half the time. Yeah, so.
Some things I've heard people say is, you know, if they're in the kind of like the same chain or the same places, Well, they'll take an hour before they would normally go to sleep and just kind of breathe. You said you stopped meditating. Maybe you could give that another shot, and an hour before you have to go to sleep, you start meditating. You calm down and lower that anxiety enough to where it's possible to go to sleep on time. And sounds as though you're probably going to fail at it for a certain amount of time, but eventually, you might actually get some sleep. And when you start to sleep and you're on time and you have more energy, then everything else is going to have more fuel and more resources to be successful with. So that would be, the first thing so I'd say that's probably where it starts. Working on the sleep. Now I wouldn't recommend for people to do too many things at once. So, I'll say this. For anything else that you have to work on, make sure that it's done in one at a time and in order. So you get the sleep fixed. Okay, good to go. Maybe eating healthier. Okay, try that. One step at a time. All right, that's taken care of. And then maybe some exercise, or some active game, or Wii Fit, or whatever.
I played Beat Saber.
Beat Saber's pretty good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So probably getting some.
Until my cat decides he wants to bat the until the cat decides he wants to bat one of my controllers, and I get him in the face of it.
Oh no.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
All right. What do you have to say to everyone that might be helpful, or just in general?
Just in general. I mean, I don't know. I guess start being less stubborn. Because a lot of people don't like help. You know what I mean? I don't like getting help. I do try sometimes. Now I'm trying, but a lot of time I'm extremely stubborn myself, and I'm too proud to seek the help. But you don't want to get, depending on what's going on. If you did suffer from depression or somewhat, you don't want to get to the point where you're on the edge. You know what I mean? You want to do something before you get there. I guess I can use that as a metaphor when I was at the train station. I guess you don't want to get to the platform edge. You want to stop before then. Just think about it. Even if it. Yeah, just yeah. I guess what's helped me a lot when I was a lot worse off was just talking to people, in VR or friends, going to get coffee or something. Just talk. I guess it helps. It's talking. Even if you don't think it will fix the matter, getting off your chest helps. Mm-hmm. If you think just talk to someone's not gonna solve the issue, no, it probably won't solve the issue, but it'll make you feel better. Get it off your chest.
Yeah. Well said.
Oh.